We got a superhero joining us this morning in the lab, Rich Ingram. We're talking accessibility and fitness, mornings in the lab. Hey, what we do here in the lab is we bring exceptional human beings for exceptional conversations to help you boys get your asses out of bed and help you guys get your day started. Listen, today's a day for no excuses. Yeah, I'm just not going to drop the F-bomb the first 2 minutes into the show. But hey, there's no excuses today. If you are sitting around and wondering how you're going to get your day started, well, first of all, Anderson's going to say, don't hit the snooze button and get going. Chop, chop. Let's go. Let's go, baby. Secondly, our guest today, as you learn about Rich today, you're going to absolutely learn there's no reason for excuses. We've got to go. We got to go. So today, Rich Ingram, we're going to talk accessibility and fitness and motivation. And then if we have time, we are going to get into the last part of our, not the last part, but the next part of our conversation with insecurities in men. We've been kind of leaning into it all week around social status and popularity. Oh, Jon Andersen, CMartyFit. It is another day on the week here. It is Thursday today. What's up, boys?
What's up? What's happening?
What's up, man? What's going
on? Hey. I felt the energy. I walked into the lab this morning. I saw Andersen as his Marty. He's not at the cabin. He's somewhere.
Yeah, we don't know where he is.
No, I keep my shit spicy, man. I'm moving around. I mean, I just enjoy life, you know?
I love it. So he got back from he got back from up in the mountains. He got settled back at his homestead, got himself sorted out, and then we showed up this morning, and John's sitting somewhere else in North America behind a wonderful TV, and the guy's moving and shaking. Marty,
that's how I want to be when I'm 52.
Well, you should give it another few weeks. You're gonna find me in my place in Mexico, so you're gonna have a whole other background. The difference, I'll be down there for a month and change, so that'll be more of a. But there's no bears down there. We're good.
So, and we're hoping we have good internet down there too.
I can't wait.
I got good internet. I got good internet at that house. Absolutely.
It's awesome. Marty, we might have to find an excuse to go do the show out of Mexico next week.
Let's go.
Come on.
Good morning, good time. Good to have you here in the lab this morning. I'm glad to have you here first thing in the morning. The morning show, 8 o'clock Eastern time. We go live, X, YouTube, LinkedIn. The only show, gentlemen, to help you guys get going. I invite you to like the channel, subscribe to the channel, comment on the channel, and share it with your friends.
Hey, Good Time came to the podcast yesterday.
Oh, okay.
I don't think Good Time knew what to expect because he was laughing.
So good time.
I don't know if Good Times are here. I think
we'd love to see your comments in the feed here this morning. Speaking of the comments in the feed here this morning, guys, we know we set the ground rules yesterday. All comments are welcome. All comments, all humor, all fun is welcome.
Oh, and Cam came too.
Oh,
Cam loved it.
But we have the guardrails here, nation. We have the guardrails. We're going to keep them on because we are here to create a safe space for every human being. So, boys, I was reading something yesterday that I thought might be interesting for you guys. What's going on, Miss Peg Meet Military Love? Good morning, boys. I was reading. So you know, part of our goal here in the first 15 minutes is to make you guys squirm and drop a little laughter in the lab here. I was reading something yesterday that was quite intriguing.
Let me interrupt real quick. You make Marty squirm. I don't squirm.
Well, this is true. Yeah, so we make Marty squirm, and
I
then
don't like that word.
And then no, you don't like.
No,
you know what? It's okay. We won't use the word squirm. I have a friend that doesn't like the word moist.
It's better than squirm.
I don't know, man. That's a damn good word. You're not taking that word out of my life.
She's like, I don't like the
word
moist.
We're 4 minutes in, guys. 4 minutes, Jon Andersen.
What is that? What am I missing the inside joke here? What is 4 minutes in?
We're not even 5 minutes into the show, and we're getting already nasty. We're talking moist. We're talking squirming. Rich Ingram is sitting in the
We're just talking about vocabulary, man. Get the mind out of the gutter.
Wondering what the hell he's got himself into. And Miss Peg Meet Military Leave is wondering here, or retired and working and baking. Oh, walking and baking. Oh, what are you baking, Miss Peg? I like baking, man. I'm like Johnny Mama's boy, hanging out in the kitchen, growing up, making cookies cookies. That's where I got my challenges with sugar. And
Your mom did not make Kit Kats in the kitchen.
No, mom was busy stuffing Kit Kats into my mouth jaw, Marty, at 6 months old. Yeah,
Christina, get him. Christina, get him.
Nothing else but Kit Kats. Let's bring Tina into the lab to help kick the first few minutes.
Christina, get your boy. Get him. He's acting up already.
I cannot control him. I cannot control him. Actually, I can. I can mute his ass, but not yet.
Hey, boys. So producer Flynn here, Christina Flynn, just jumps in for a few minutes. She was telling me before the show she was playing baseball yesterday. And Marty, you're going to love this one. She's like, oh, yeah, they're all losers over there. I'm like, oh, Tina, just flexing. She's like, no, actually losers. Hey, Tina?
Wow.
I don't use the term lightly.
You don't. I know you don't.
I don't. Which means particularly a couple individuals on this team, and yes, I'm a grown-ass woman doing this. They're losers. They focus, like they try to get the refs in and the umps in, and they try to tell the rules. We have lost games from their center fielder running into the ump and saying that they broke a rule. That's loser behavior.
Yeah. So I like that loser behavior, because anybody can be a winner, but are they choosing to behave like a loser? What's their behavior that represents their title?
There you go, Johnny.
You
John.
Yeah. There you go, John.
Always being the senior statesman here in the lab, just being logical for us. Hey, just keeping it real. So, hey, I got a funny
positive.
Yeah, I got a couple stories for you guys. 7 minutes into the show here. The first one was out with my mom and dad's last night having dinner, and Carter Marty was out doing his landscaping job yesterday, driving the truck and going down the highway, boys and girls, and next thing you know, he's like, all these cars are stopping and honking at me. Looks in his rearview mirror. The tailgate of the truck opened up. Lawnmower and all the gear is spewed across the highway. All the cars stopped. So the kid just got his license a year ago. So he's like, I'm just flipping out. I stopped and pulled into the turning lane, and he gets out and he's got his crew. They're on the highway getting the gear into the truck. And he's like, yeah, I laughed about it at the time. I said, so what did you learn about that? He's like, dude, I learned that I gotta be responsible for the load. I go, yeah, it's true. I said, even though he was like, it wasn't my fault. I go, well, I know it wasn't you said it's not your fault. But if something happened tragically, the cops are coming to talk to you, man. So the learning for Carter in that moment with his team was that he was the guy ultimately responsible for not locking the tailgate. Yeah.
Check the tailgate, baby. That's the lesson. Check the tailgate. It's just in one of those goofy little things, you know?
He's turning into a man.
You know what, Marty? Exactly. I said to him after we had the conversation, I said, hey, so what did you learn from it all? And I said, I'm sorry that you had to go through the experience, but in the same breath as a father, I'm kind of glad you had the opportunity to have that experience, because now when shit goes sideways, he, as a leader, he figured it out. He was with a bunch of older guys, and he's like, I took care of the situation. He was, I dropped a few F-bombs, Dad. I go, why would you be any different than the rest of us? So yeah, little learning lesson with our kids yesterday. Miss Peg, meet military leave. Thanks for the like. Thanks for your coffee. And I saw your comment there. Smoking my weed, you're showing your age. Well, Miss Peg, it's too early for me to dabble into that here right now, so I'll just wait till later on in the day. I'm showing my age. Well, you know, it's just we all like to have our things here. Oh, Tech Dad Will's jumping in, but that's the part of the learning experience. We all do something like that. It's true. Yeah, it's true.
I've done mine. I know John has done his.
Life is about
learning.
Oh
man, that's it. You know, it's those things that kick you in the nuts that teach you the most.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Nation. So I got a funny one for you guys, boys. You guys been hearing what's going on in Japan? It's a current event topic for you guys. Marty,
is that the marriage thing?
No, this is even more interesting. Tina,
is this another international penis story? Is that what this is? Are we going from the UK to Japan about penises? I think the Japanese are going to have a harder time fulfilling that prophecy. What do you think?
John, did you use penises in Japan and harder in the same sentence?
Actually, I did. Look at that. You know, but wouldn't that be called like a Freud? Is that like a Freudian? What do they call that? Freudian slip or something?
You told us you were a philosophy major, weren't you, in school?
Oh yeah, I was. Major in theology, minor in philosophy. Most people look at me and have no idea that I'm educated at all, let alone I've got a major and a minor.
Well, and extremely handsome, John. We can't leave that part out either.
You know,
You're blushing, John.
it's so
You're
crazy.
blushing.
The thing is let's take a good look. The thing is, I'm way past that point in my life where I think that I'm handsome. When I was younger, I thought I was a big swinging dick. I was the best looking dude. But you get older, you just don't care about that stuff anymore.
Dude, look at my title. I'm the handsome chief. Johnny, we are handsome.
Is that what it says?
Yeah,
the writing's too little. I can't.
Yeah.
That's a little bit. That might be misrepresentation, brother.
Johnny, as we age, dude, we've got to accept the handsomeness. But hey, listen. There's shit happening in Japan that's just puzzling people in the waters. There is a spate of dolphin attacks happening off the coast of Japan, and according to scientists and researchers, Christina Flynn, this week, an 18th person was bitten by a dolphin since July. Since then, more than 45 people have been injured. And what they're speculating is that these bottlenose dolphins, one of them is separated from the pod, Johnny. And because of its loneliness, it has become sexually frustrated, Marty. And it is rubbing its dolphin penis on humans and attacking them off the coast of Japan.
That's a weird combo. Rubbing the dolphin penis and attacking. It almost sounds like some sort of like ocean rape.
I've actually heard this happening before.
That's similar. Well, that's so apparently these dolphins are exhibiting aggressive behaviors because they are lonely and they're not connected to their pod. So as a result, they're on their way and they're off attacking humans, and that they're suspecting is the challenge. And because they have nobody else to play with, they're out.
Do they act like humans?
But here's the thing:
like humans?
we're talking. We said the dolphin rubs his dolphin penis and then has an aggressive behavior.
Yes.
So if you, as a human, you don't take your human penis and rub it on someone and have aggressive behavior. At least you're not supposed to. You get in big trouble. So this dolphin is really crossing the line.
This dolphin is in trouble. Yes.
Well, humans just go in comment sections when that happens to them, and they talk trash in comment sections. They get online and on YouTube and make videos.
Are you insinuating that all the haters rub their penis, then go rub their penis on something and run into the comments?
Exactly.
The same thing.
Anytime somebody, hold on, Keith. Anytime someone's talking shit on your show or my show or John's comments, we know what the issue is.
That's Christina. We've set the bar. We've absolutely set the bar. And it happened in 2018. Another lonely dolphin team exhibited some similar behavior off the French coast of Lavendiviac. They had a dolphin that was exhibiting behavior. It was blocking multiple swimmers. It was jamming them in. It was attacking them because it was like lonely and it wanted some action. So gentlemen, if you want action this morning, you get the old morning wood. Don't be aggressive and attack your partner. Just go about it in a nice, respectful way. There's a way, boys. There's a way to go about activity and not acting like a dolphin. And Yoel Adams jumps into the comments and says, male dolphins do have an attraction to humans. Oh, but it may be more of a stress thing, being separated. Well, you know how we talk about here in the lab, Johnny? You either have anxiety or you have excitement. They can't compete with each other, right, John? So the dolphins confuse Johnny.
Yeah, and a lot of times what happens, you have excitement, but you're actually confusing it for anxiety. And when you're obviously a lot of times, if you're acting on anxiety, your behavior is going to be different than if you're acting on excitement. So give these dolphins a little. Let's give them a kind of a pass. They're just confused on their emotion. That's it.
That's it. We're talking dolphins here in the lab first thing this morning. The first 15 minutes, you want to turn into the first 15 minutes of the show. You never know what's going to come up. We talk current events, talk unpredictable conversations, just stuff that just kind of gets the day going here. And if you're a dolphin, you absolutely want to turn to the 15 minutes of the show because we're going to call you out. Tina, are we off to a good start? Are we off to a good start this morning?
Nothing like a good morning dolphin dick conversation. It's just a beautiful thing.
Whoa! And Tech Dad's coming up with a good comment, boys. And Will's going to join us in the lab on September 11th. Hey, Will's joining us on September 11th in the lab. I think it's his 7th. What did he say, Christine? His 7th or his 8th year being sober?
for him, man.
I don't remember which one, but yes.
Yeah, but he's coming in on the 11th. He chose that date to celebrate his sobriety, and that is worthy of an applause, a celebration, the GOAT, all those big things Marty was doing out there. But that's
hit the buttons, man. Where's the buttons? Hit the buttons, baby.
That's awesome, man. That's 7. That's awesome. Will,
yeah,
dude, that's awesome, man. That is awesome. And you know what, man? Will, just to call you up, pal, we pay attention here, buddy. We pay attention. I know you're grateful to give your time to us. You come start your mornings with us, and we're listening to you, man. And we're supporting you. We're helping you hit your goals, and you're helping us hit our goals, because if you don't tune in, we got nothing to do here. So I appreciate you, man. And as Good Time says, much respect, brother. And we're going to celebrate that 8th year next September. And hey, let's just put it out there. When shit goes sideways and sometimes we fall off, we always just give permission ourselves, right, Johnny, to begin again. Right? No judgment, full of grace, and we just start all over again. Right, Johnny?
Just stand back up and try again.
That's it. All right. So listen, we're going to move you over to the accountability check-in. We're at that 16-minute mark of the show. And then we're going to bring back Rich Ingram. We're going to get into Rich. We're going to talk to Rich, get to know Rich Ingram. The guy is a superhero, a real-life superhero, is in the lab here this morning. It is not every day you get a chance to talk to guys like Rich. So we're going to join him here. He's going to join us here in a couple of minutes. But to do that, we are going to excuse John to go check on the dog and go do a little restroom break. Marty's going to go do a stretch. Christina's going to go get shit sorted on the back. Oh, before we go further here, Will's coming in with, you guys are awesome. No, you are awesome, Will. You fuel us. Good morning, Real Deal Prime. Good to have you here this morning. What do you got going on in the gym this morning? And then, of course, we got Yoel Adams. Dolphins have social games where they get intoxicated, harassing blowfish. And we'll leave that one right there. All right, okay, we're going to do the accountability check-in, and we're going to start with this. All right. Good times. Coming up, Rich Ingram, the official superhero. Enjoy yourself, Yoel Adams. Thanks for joining us this morning. Appreciate you. Listen. You're starting your day right now. I got some energy, and I hope you got some energy, because you know what? It's you. You. That's you. You're the fucking problem. You know it. It's your ego. Your ego is holding you back. It encourages you to be tough, to protect yourself, to always be right. Oh, I don't want to be wrong because I've got the big ego. Sure, those egos help you keep safe, but those safety nets don't keep the dolphins in. Those safety nets, they keep out the love, the connection, the personal growth. They keep you stuck in comfort and nothing but mediocrity. For me, and I know my friend Jon Andersen, and I know my friend CMartyFit, and I know Christina Flynn drinks this same Kool-Aid. That's not living. No, that's not living. So I invite you to challenge your ego daily. I bet you Rich Ingram does. And you know how you do that? You start by showing kindness, even when it's hard. Even when that person across the table, that person in the meeting you're going into is pissing you off, take the high road. Show some kindness, show some love, lead with love. Be open, even when you fear that rejection. Most importantly, nation, love yourself, even when you feel unworthy. Because life really happens. Living begins when you get outside the bubble of comfort. So I invite you to consider growing, because growth demands your vulnerability. And that's a big old period. That's your accountability check-in, dropping every single day around this time, content and conversation to help you consider holding yourself accountable to get your ass out of bed and go off and achieve those big goals in life. All right, Johnny, Marty, let's do this. Let's bring in our guest. Yo, ready, Marty, with some little sound effects for this guy?
I mean,
let's do it.
Let's see if I got something for him. Let's give him a bomb.
All right, I got him.
Let's give Rich a bomb.
Rich Ingram, the first, one of our big superhero friends joining us here in the lab. Good morning, Rich Ingram. How are you, my friend?
Doing a lot better after listening to you guys, man. It's hilarious.
Thanks, man.
Did you know what you were getting yourself into?
I had no idea.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You're like, I'm getting up out of bed at because Rich is on. I think you're on Pacific time, aren't you? You're on Central with me.
No, I'm on Central. I've been up for a while.
Okay, so Rich, like, I'm getting onto the show at 7:00 in the morning to hear some dudes talk about dolphin penises. Yeah,
it's funny though. I mean, 1,000 years ago, we were probably doing the same thing, right? Like back in caveman times, you see a girl and you just like bonk her on the head and take her back to your cave. We've evolved a little bit. It's funny.
That's exactly it. So Marty, Johnny, we got Rich Ingram here. He's the unstoppable Rich Ingram. He's a veteran athlete, resilience expert. Rich was on me with Live in the Lab. John, the same show you and I met. On Marty, the same show you and the guys we all met months ago. Rich lost his arm in Iraq, and since then come back to North America and has been kicking it as an Ironman athlete. He's got a story that is nothing but pure inspiration. He's been hanging out, the Leadville 100 is part of his life right now. Today, we're going to talk about the critical importance of accessibility and fitness, how Rich transforms lives and businesses with his raw resilience framework, and how you can overcome obstacles, keep momentum, no matter what's going on. Rich, I got to tell you, man, when I told the boys you were joining us today, I saw the energy, and Christina, the energy just rised. And then I came into the lab this morning, and I saw Johnny was ready to rock and roll. Marty was flexing, just going. And I know, we were really excited to have you here today, brother. So, how's things? I know you're training for, or did you complete the Leadville 100?
Done. So that was about a week ago. This last weekend. So now I'm doing those workouts that you want to push a little bit, but like yesterday, I don't walk. And you're like, okay, I'm used to running for hours and I'm walking, and you see everybody else pass. So you talk about your ego earlier.
Oh yeah.
My God, I want to run, but I have a coach, and so I'm pretty strict on the workouts and everything. But yeah, man, everything's feeling good. All systems go.
That's awesome. So tell our listeners about the Leadville 100. What is the Leadville 100, and how did you make out in it, Rich?
So it's a 100-mile race, considered one of the most iconic races in the world, just because it's at altitude, right? So Leadville is at above 10,000 feet, and so
mercy! I was gonna say, is it what, 5 or 6 or 10,000? Man, there's not much oxygen up there.
Yeah. So look, man, I'm not a pro like some. So a guy broke the record in 15 hours. He ran 100 miles at altitude.
Wow. God.
That's insane, because that's a lot of the professional athletes, they say, okay, it has like 18,000 feet of climb, and that sounds like a lot, but it's really not for 100 miles. But the problem is it's at altitude, right? So I mean, you're the entire time above 10,000 feet, climbing up to, I think the high point's like 12.5, 12.6.
Dude.
And yeah, so that's what makes it so difficult. I mean, your muscles are just starving for air, right? And so it's an out and back course, and man, I loved it. I mean, and I can honestly say, so many people are like, oh, dude, you're gonna ask yourself like, why are you doing this? And maybe I'm a masochist, but I did it in 28 hours, which you get a big buckle if you do it in less than 25. So I didn't get that, but it was my first 100. And as I'm coming across the finish line, the only thing I think about is like, I'm fucking coming back next year.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, brother. I gotta forgive me for jumping in here, but I have to give our listeners a little bit of a way to gauge this. So, like, I just came back from Tahoe, which is about 6,000 feet, and I've been going there my whole life. When friends come to visit me, like going up a flight of steps, they're like, God, what's wrong with my heart? What's wrong with my lungs? This is 6,000 feet going up a set of steps. We're talking about a dude who went 100 freaking miles at twice that elevation. So just to put that in perspective, the average person going up a flight of steps at 6,000 feet gets to the top and grabs their chest and wonders what's wrong. Now, our man here just did 100 at twice that. That is insane.
Yeah, it was brutal but amazing at the same time, because you have this you had the sense of accomplishment when you're done. But I learned so much. I didn't know what to expect. I did the 50 miler last year in Leadville. It's called Silver Rush, and so that's how I qualified for the 100 this year. And man, there was a point I started going blind in my left eye. And I'm like, okay, do I say something about that? Because I already got kicked off the course. I'm like, man, fuck that. You know? And so I think what it was just low blood sugar.
Yes.
And because again, I'm not used to this. So you pick up a pacer at mile 62, right? And so when I did that, my pacer was like, it just handed me like two 12-ounce cans of Coke. And he's like, chug them. And I'm like, I just did whatever he told me to do, you know. So I'm eating mashed potatoes, drinking broth. And after every aid station for like 3 miles, I was running like 11-minute mile, which that's not that fast, but when you're at that level in the race,
pretty fast, brother.
Yeah, it's pretty fast. Exactly. Yeah.
But like it just shows you, you know, now I know, okay, for the next one, I need to be doing that shit at mile 0. You know, every aid station just plowing down, you know, carbs and all different kind of potato chips for my thing, man.
You know, the salt in the potato chips is really helpful in a setting like that. You know,
Rich, you're wrecking all of Jon Andersen's principles right now because Jon's all about single ingredient foods, and you're now telling Business Athlete Nation that you're accomplishing these exceptional feats in life by crushing Cokes and potato chips. You're going to make Jon very uncomfortable here, Rich.
Well, I was. It's the preparation.
Here, I'm sorry, I got to interrupt. I got to give it to our man here again. When you're in that type of a setting, when you put a person in that type of a setting, he could be chewing on a dog turd, and the body is going to use that for its benefit. When you're doing that to the body doesn't give a damn what you give it. It thinks it's being killed. It'll take whatever you put in there and find a way to win.
Oh, I know Cheech and Chong smoked dog turds. I'm not sure if Rich Ingram's going to be consuming dog turds as he's doing his.
I wasn't insinuating our man was eating dog turds, but I'm just saying processed foods. The body doesn't care what you're putting in there under fire like that.
Yeah.
When you guys know too, not to be cliche, but it's it's about the process, not the product. So
yes,
you're getting yourself there eating probably. I'm assuming how Jon would recommend your diet be. But once you get there, I mean, nobody's going to be offering, lean.
Gloves are off, baby.
I'm just trying to get to the next fucking aid station at 12,000 feet, So
that's such a good point, brother. Nobody's bringing you a single ingredient food on the side of a race a course like that.
No. We got some comments from the feeds here. We got Yoel Adams coming in with when you're in those situations, it's just about glucose, salt, proteins. Yeah, it's true, right? Doesn't matter where you're getting it from. You just need it fast. And Rich is like, just fill my body with food. And then Fit Presenter, what's up, Mike? Was shaking, brother. With that kind of, hey, Marty, we got to get a sound effect for I think Mike, because Mike's a regular listener here. So we're gonna want to get a button for Mike so we can welcome Mike onto the show. Mike's Mike's joining us from Lima, Peru. He's like, yeah, with that kind of distance, everything is nutrition, including, as Johnny would say, dog turds. But
I'll eat a lot of stuff.
Although there's plenty of waste in there, there's guaranteed there's a little nutrient in there. If we were hungry enough,
I'll pass out before I eat a dog turd. I'm
passing out. I'm going blind in both eyes before that.
He's a retired Army captain. Rich served in the National Guard, the Georgia National Guard, the U.S. Army. In 2005, Rich's journey, it took a dramatic turn. When he lost his left arm in a roadside bomb explosion while serving in Iraq, but the setback didn't set him down. The dude became an accomplished athlete, as we know, just crushing the Leadville 100 and crushing carbs and proteins all the way up. Rich, what was that journey like down the mountain, once you were done, once you got to the top? What was it like coming down?
Okay, so we're not being metaphorical here. Once I got to mile 50 and I'm coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the hardest part. I knew, again, this is my first 100. I knew I was going to bomb at some point. Right. And so, cause I just didn't have the years of endurance training that a lot of other guys had. So I was like, okay, I'm going to push, tactfully as much as I can without overexerting. So I still have enough room to finish, but I banked so much time to where, because my Achilles, I wasn't expecting this. I've had IT band problems in the past. That's what I was expecting to blow up, but my Achilles tended to blow up, man. And I'm
no.
Fuck. But fortunately, I got to the 50-mile mark in less than 12 hours. And so coming back, I was able to do a lot more walking because I mean, look, you don't run, unless you're, David Rush doing it in 15 hours.
Yeah.
You hike a lot, and so I was really good at power hiking up hills, and then the downhills are actually what fucks you up the most because it's so tough on your quads, man.
Yes.
And the knees too, man. Holy Toledo! I can only imagine that downhill's got to be brutal. That patella tendon just screaming, baby.
Well, it's interesting because sorry, Rich. I've been fortunate to climb a couple mountains in my life, and we always talk about going up. Hardest is absolutely the toughest going down.
Well, especially when you have loose rocks.
Yes,
you're coming down and it's like straight down.
Yes,
and you're just trying not to fall. And dude, man, obviously I only have one arm. And so I have a trekking pole. So on the steep stuff, and I have like a quiver so I can pull it out quickly. But on the steep stuff coming down, I'll use one too. And dude, it was like coming down, and I started going too fast, and I just fucking jabbed myself right in my abs.
Jesus,
fell down the mountain. But yeah, that's was the toughest for me. But also in mile 62, you get to pick up pacers, and just having that, someone that to talk to. And I had some really experienced guys. They were like, every 20 minutes, they're like, eat this. I was eating so much at that point I wanted to vomit. But that's what I should have been doing the whole time, right? And so, but coming back was where you just kind of space out, and it is one foot in front of the other. That is literally, for me, what it came down to is that it was just, hey, I'm tired. I want to get in bed. I'm just running my way home. The only way I can get in the bed is by running there, and so I both going out and coming back. Going out was fun because I ran a lot of it. Coming back was fun just because I'd never experienced that before. Great.
Hey, you're hanging out with Keith Bilous, CMartyFit. Excuse me, Jon Andersen, and our guest, Rich Ingram, here today. We're talking Leadville 100. We're talking accessibility and fitness and all of that. We're going to tune in here right now, coming up in less than a minute, in number of seconds, Marty, the CMartyFit tip. We're going to get you guys going with a fit tip to keep your day moving. But listen, if you're tuning in right now, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, hit the old like button, comment, share it with friends, tell everybody about this show. You want to tune into the first 15 minutes. I invite you to always come into the first 15. We start at 8 o'clock Eastern time. You never know what's going to happen. This morning, we talked about dolphin penises attacking humans. Yeah, we did. So you want to go back and listen to the top of the show if you've tuned in late. But right now, what we are going to do is we are going to invite us all off the stage. John's going to go for a restroom break. Rich is going to hang out for a minute. I'm going to hang out for a minute. And Marty is going to do this.
All right, let's get it. We got the fit tip for today. We're going to talk about hydration. Staying hydrated is one of the most underrated aspects of a fitness journey. Here's 5 reasons why it's important. Boost performance. Hydration is critical for maintaining optimal blood flow, which supplies muscles with oxygen and nutrients. Research shows that even mild dehydration can impair physical performance, leading to reduced strength, endurance, and overall exercise efficiency. I'm sure Rich was hydrated when he did that race, especially when he got to that 50th mile. I'm sure he needed some hydration. Aids in recovery. Water helps transport nutrients like protein and glycogen to muscles, which are essential for repair and recovery post-exercise. A study published by the Journal of Athletic Training highlights that proper hydration helps reduce muscle soreness and supports the recovery process. So if you're sore after the gym, I would, take inventory of your water intake, and that's probably a reason why you're super sore. If you're not getting enough water, that soreness can be real. Supports weight loss. Drinking water is a huge part of weight loss. It can increase, it can reduce hunger, and it helps control your calorie intake. So a lot of times, you find yourself getting hungry when you're trying to lose weight. If you're drinking water, you're drinking a gallon a day, like me and Jon Andersen, right? You're not going to be as hungry. Another thing, enhances your mental focus. Dehydration can affect brain function, leading to decreased alertness and concentration. So you having them foggy thoughts, feeling weird, not as quick to think, irritable, probably dehydrated. And then lastly, regulates body temperature. Water is crucial for thermoregulation. During exercise, the body sweats to cool down, and without sufficient hydration, this cooling process becomes less effective. So stay hydrated. Big part of your fitness goals, big part of your performance, big part of fat loss, weight loss, whatever your goal is, you got to stay hydrated. That's the fitness tip for today.
There it is, the fit tip of the day. We go live here with it every single day at the bottom of the hour, 8:30 Eastern time. Jumping in here today with Keith Bilous, CMartyFit, Jon Andersen, and our guest, Rich Ingram. And producer Flynn, I'm going to call a little audible on our structure this morning. We're going to continue the chat with Rich. We're going to get, I want this Business Athlete Nation and Johnny and Marty to get to know Rich a little more here before we get into our big topic around breaking down barriers to fitness. So we're going to continue the chat, and we're going to come, we're going to go flip to Jon Andersen with the lifestyle tip in about 10, 11 minutes, and then we're going to come back and continue the dialogue around breaking barriers for all. So boys, I got a chance to sit down with Rich a few months ago and get to know him on a one-on-one, but I thought what we do for the next 10 minutes or so is have you guys get to know Rich like I did. So Rich, let's take some time to let Business Athlete Nation and Jon and Marty get to know you a little more. Let's talk about what got you here today. Let's just lean into, we know you spent some time in Iraq, and I don't want to be disrespectful to your history. You spent some time in Iraq, you represented the country, you did some amazing things. An unfortunate incident happens, which then, brings you back to North America, which then changes your life. You're like, okay, I got to figure shit out. Where do we want to go from here, Rich? How do we want to go from that point of you're like, oh my God, I got one choice here. And I remember you told me I'm going to use my paraphrase. I can wither up and just die and just let life slip away from me, or I can do something about it. And was it your mom who said, here's a bike, get on the bike?
It was a fly rod, but yeah.
Yes, it was a fly rod. Yes, they said go fly fishing. So gentlemen, Rich loses his arm. Somebody says, here's a fly rod, go fishing. Think about that, Jon Andersen. Think about that, Marty Fit. And he's like, what the man, really? Rich, lean into that, pal.
Yeah. So when I got to the hospital, my mom was waiting in the hospital room at Walter Reed in DC, and she had my fly rod. And because it was just another thing that I'd done religiously before I lost my arm. But I'm connected to, an IV tree, a wound vac, like 4 tubes coming out of my arm. What the fuck am I going to do with that thing? And so a few days later, my cousin takes me out on the front lawn, and he's like, look, we're going to do this. We're going to figure it out. And we're not going to leave until we can do this. And so, I pull it out and I start trying to cast, and I broke down in tears because I couldn't do it. And he was like, look, dude, like try this. And so I again, we weren't leaving. And so I just channeled, I was so angry, at life, at everything, because I'd spent my entire life trying to figure out direction and guidance, where I was going, what I was going to do. And I found that in the military. I wanted to use that physical prowess to spend my life in a combat arms career. Like that was the only thing that I wanted to do. And it was gone. And so I was here in this moment, and I figured out that, connected to this IV tree, that I could use my teeth to strip line, and I could cast, manipulating that line with 2 fingers. And I almost broke down crying again, because it was like, dude, everything changed from what am I going to do now to whatever it takes, I'm going to keep moving forward. And it just opened up like just this completely different mindset. And so I started signing up for all these races and everything. Like I did the Army 10 mile. I still had, open wounds. I just had a bandage on me. And my buddy, he was like, hey, you didn't have a bad time. Do you want to be on the Army 10 mile? Do you want to be on my triathlon team? And I kind of, chuckled, because I didn't really know what that was at the time. But I said, you know what? Fuck it. I got this. And from there, dude, I was embarrassed because I sucked. It was the last time I had been in a swimming pool was in middle school, competing. But there was something different. I kept fucking going. I kept showing up. And again, not to sound cliche, but like that's half the fucking battle, man. It's just like saying, you know what? I don't care. Like I'm gonna keep going. I don't care what other people think or how I look. I'm sure I look like a beach whale in that pool. So the old ladies on their pool noodles are passing me. But before long, man, I was racing across the country from Malibu to New York And I just started thinking to myself, it's like, you know what? Like the Army gave me a check and said, thanks for your service. And I was like, fuck that. I want to go back in. Like this is what I enjoyed doing, what I thought was my purpose at the time. And I said, the military can't tell me that my physical abilities are the reason that I can't serve. If I'm competing against all these able-bodied people, they can't do it. And so that's what started the trek, man. And I ended up doing an internship for a state senator, and I told him that. And next thing I know, I'm sitting in front of General Kicklighter was his name. It was on President Bush's staff. And he said, look, resubmit your packet. If you can meet the standard, you're in. And so I took that line almost up to this day. It doesn't matter if you're missing 2 legs. Look, we're not cutting corners for anybody. We're not lowering the bar for anybody. You know, if you're going out for the Leadville 100, you don't get special fucking privileges because you have 2 legs, 1 leg, 1 arm. You can either do it or you can't. So, you know, and the bottom line is nobody cares, right? If I'm in a platoon downrange, at the end of the day, if I'm leading troops in combat, nobody gives 2 shits whether I have 1 arm or the other guy has a stomach virus and can't get to his truck. The only thing they care about is, can that guy lead his men and women? That's it at the end of the day. Now, it's more difficult for everyone else, you know, guys that have 1 arms and missing legs. But at the end of the day, I think we have an up. I'm a constant problem solver now. That's all I do every day is figure out how to do new things that everybody else can do with, you know, 4 appendages. And so, you know, that's how I was able to get back in. And, you know, like I got on Ranger Challenge and all that. I think I held the record at one of our competitions. It was like 134 push-ups in 2 minutes and I only have 1 arm, you know? So, to me, it was just another challenge. And so, yeah, after I got out the second time, I did some time with a Fortune 500 company, realized I didn't really want to do that. Started a small business and sold it for a pretty good profit. I realized I'd rather cut my right arm off than be in sales. And so that's where I'm at today. You know, was that too soon? Bad joke. But yeah, so that's where I'm at now, man. And I wouldn't have it any other way. You know, endurance sports for me is just 1, keeps my emotional stability, and 2, it just keeps that challenge going. Like I think I thrive in that. Yeah. That environment. And so yeah, that's how I got here.
Dude, you inspire me. I'm gonna flip to Johnny and Marty. I'm gonna flip to John and Marty in a quick second here. But you inspire me, and I was excited. This is my second time spending time with you. I was excited to share my experience with you with John and Marty and Christina, because I know that their ears were going to perk up like mine did as I got to know you. But as you tell the story again, Rich, it's almost as if life gave this to you on purpose. I know that sounds harsh, but it's like life said, hey, here's your journey, here's your book, you go figure it out. Right? Because since that incident in Iraq, all you've done is move mountains and change the benchmark for others, right? Because if that doesn't happen to you, there's nobody going to some general and saying, hey, you know, I only have 1 arm less than you, but I can still do that. Like nobody else is having that conversation. So, you know, it's as if your journey was predetermined for you to make the changes that you're making.
Yeah. You know, I don't know how many times I get asked if there's a spiritual, you know, whatever to my story. And I always, you know, say no, just cause I don't want to get into that, but yeah, something has aligned. And I'll tell you, you know, had I 2 arms and someone asked me to be on the triathlon team, I would have said no. Yes. And the main reason is because I knew what I was good at, and I didn't want anybody to see me fail at something that I knew I wasn't good at. And you know, I had a huge fear of failure. Now, man, I you know, it's not that I don't have a fear of failure. I think everybody does, but now it's just more like, you know what, fuck it, man, let's do this. And because it's like I had that in the beginning. It was, well, what do I have to lose? I'm reinventing myself. And that has just, you know, evolved into this. Yeah, I'll try something new. I could care less. Or, hey, of course you're going to fail. Like, this is the first time. So my son, this is awesome, had his first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training session yesterday. He's 4 years old. And and it was everything I could do not to talk during, you know, because you see your kids and you want to tell them like, hey, line up, hey, listen, and all this stuff. But I was so proud of him because he you know, he'd never done this stuff before, but he kept going, and he had asked the teacher, you know, how do you do this? And I was just like, man, this is amazing. Like, this is another reason why I do these things, because our kids, they see everything that we do and they mimic it. I mean, and it's the same thing in business, right? Like, you can't expect your people to do something that, you know, if you're being shitbag, well, you're going to have a shitty unit. And so, but anyways, that was just a really cool thing to see yesterday. And it was kind of like lining up with what you were saying, like maybe this was predetermined, you know, because otherwise I don't know where I'd be.
It's true. Jon Andersen.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm listening to you talk, man. I'm just goosebumps. I love it. I love it. And here's the thing. I mean, I guess the question I have, and I really want you know to kind of expand on this tragic event where you lost your arm really turned out to be like the biggest blessing in your life, because it changed your perspective to where you see the world from a different set of goggles. And that's you know, I guess the what would be the number one thing that's obviously the event happens. There's lots of different things that you went through, but in terms of if you had the number one thing that makes this the best thing that ever happened to you, what would that be? And talk about it a little bit. Is it just a perspective? Is that what it is?
I believe so. I think it's just a mindset shift. I think that innately, I've always pursued challenging things. You know, like I can just tell by looking at you, you're familiar to the weight room. You know, so like when we start lifting and it gets harder, like guys like us, like we just want more, make it harder. God, one more rep, and you're telling yourself one more rep for like 5 minutes until you just want to pass out or you can't feel your arms. I always had that, but the difference was, okay, what if somebody said try ballet? Dude, like now, you know what? Fuck it, man. I'll give that a go. I'll try it. Now, I'm probably not ever going to pick it up like I do running, but the holistic view there is that my mindset completely shifted to, one, I'm going to try new things. Two, I know that failure is okay. Matter of fact,
yes.
I think that failure is it's just another part of the process, right? And so one of the things that I've gained over the years, and I just started, and this is another thing, you talk about being predetermined, as I started getting into speaking and stuff, trying to put everything together, I realized that our pains and our gains, they're equitable, right? Like they're all just part of the process. So, you know, when we get these big wins, you know, it's like, okay, I did Leadville. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, well, what's next, right? Like I'm not going to rest on my laurels and wait, because then I'm just going to fall back into either being fat, or guys like us a lot of times have addictive personalities, right? Like we're going to fall into bad habits.
Yeah.
Or I fail. Okay, what am I going to do with that? For me now, exactly, if things don't go, and failure takes many different forms, right? This, you know, maybe I have some kind of slip up, and because I think on things. I think like, man, why did I say that? Or why did I do this? Every time it's like, okay, let's do a reset. Like, what could I have done differently, and how am I going to go from here? Just that simple process, man. That's the lesson that I learned. So yes, to answer your question, it was all about a shift in mindset. That was the learning lesson, and it changed my life.
Yeah,
I love it, brother. Love it.
Marty, question for Rich before we come back, and then we're going to throw it to Jon for the lifestyle tip, and we're going to keep the conversation going on with Rich Ingram. Marty.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, I like how you said that happened to you on purpose. Like that was supposed to happen to you. So I always tell myself, like when I'm going through something, I'm going through a struggle, I'm like, well, if God was going to put anybody through it, he was going to put me through it, because I could get through it. So that helps me. So I definitely resonate with that. But as far as your mindset and overcoming things, you know, you talk about that experience going fishing. Do you attribute that to the injury, or is it a mixture of the injury and like the military? You know, did some of the stuff in the military also, you know, give you that strong mindset as well? Or was it just the injury that like completely changed you?
So, you know, I think the injury was just an awakening.
Oh,
I think that you know, so my dad, I don't want to call him an absent father because he really did care, but he worked 7 days a week, gone when I woke up, gone when I went to bed. I mean, he never came to my baseball games, and like I really started to loathe him for it, right? And I know Keith and I probably discussed this, but during my first semester, I had like a 1.7 GPA. I was like, fuck this, I'm just not made out for this. And so I quit, and I called my dad, like, hey, I'm coming home. He was like, no, you're not. And I was like, oh fuck, I didn't expect that response, And so, man, I found myself homeless, sleeping in a tent by a creek, and after like brushing my teeth and washing my hair in a creek and gas station bathrooms, I was like, man, you know what? Fuck this. I was raised well, I know what right looks like. I know where I want to go, and so I went. And I signed up for the National Guard, knowing that I'd become an active duty officer because there's the program that you could go through. So nonetheless, I call my dad and I tell him, I'm like, hey, I'm shipping out to basic training in March. This is like January. Can I come home? And he said, under conditions, yes. And those conditions were, he made me, and literally I'd have to write a schedule. He'd say, you have to work out and run every day, read a book a week, write a book report on it. And he would grade it, and he would look at my schedule for the week. He would sign off on it every day to make sure I did. And so my point is, I think I was raised in an environment like that already, and it just took me the arm loss to realize who I really was and what I was really made of. And so in that traumatic, vulnerable time, that was my only way out, was going back to roots. And I think that's how I came out of it. That answers your question.
Definitely.
What an exceptional story, and I got goosebumps again, Rich, when I remember you told me the first time that it happened again, because you've been very vulnerable sharing that story with us. So listen, you're tuning into Mornings in the Lab with Keith Bilous, CMartyFit, Jon Andersen, and our guest Rich Ingram. We're getting to know Rich. We're talking about his journey from struggles to triumph, inspiring stories. Rich unfortunately lost his arm in Iraq years ago and has since then become a exceptional triathlete, businessman, coach, and just one hell of an awesome human being. So, Johnny, are you ready to do the lifestyle tip, my friend, or the dog's going to come say hello?
Let's go, baby.
Let's go, baby. Okay, we're going to do the lifestyle tip. We're going to come back and keep our conversation happening with Jon and Marty and Rich. But here's the tunes for Johnny.
Oh, I love it. I love it. If I could still perform with that intro music, I'm okay. All right. Today's lifestyle tip is inspired by our guest, Rich Ingram, because he has taken a tragedy and made it into the best thing that ever happened to him. So the lifestyle tip for you guys is to start to understand that when you look around, you don't look at problems. That problem is an opportunity. That problem is an obstacle. On the other side of that problem, you get to meet a better version of yourself because you get better overcoming that challenge. Everything is good. You're driving to work, you're in traffic, people are all bent out of shape, flipping people off, push it away, listen to a podcast. It's good because you've got time for yourself to basically enrich who you are by listening to something that you want to listen to rather than getting involved and everybody all bent out of shape, flipping people off in traffic. So remember, don't see a problem, see an opportunity. Don't see a problem, see a challenge. It's all perspective. The worst things that ever happened to you have a silver lining. So just remember, everything is good. It's all about perspective.
That's a good message, Jon Andersen. And what a timely message for today, brother. That's a good one with our friend Rich Ingram. That's a good one, eh, Rich?
I love it.
Yeah, every single day around this time while we're running a few minutes late here, Johnny jumps in with lifestyle tips to give people something to think about and get their day going and keep themselves in the right direction. We're about habit stacking and helping folks stay accountable. Hitting their big-ass goals is what we do here in the lab. And Jimmy and Tina, we're going to move the creator spotlight to shortly after the 8 o'clock hour. We're going to keep our chat happening with Rich. And Rich, well, I wanted to bring you on here today to lean into a topic that I don't know how often it's talked about, generally. And, what our goal here is in Mornings in the Lab is to create safe spaces for men to come and have conversations where they're just not having anywhere else. We talk about crying. We talk about emotion. We talk about putting, honest feelings and things on the table. But Rich, I want to lean into something that I have not had the fortunate chance to talk about in this show or even on my previous show. And I want to get into this whole idea of you lose your arm in Iraq, you come back to North America, you got to resume life. You go into the gym, you're going to places, and these places are typically not built for accessibility for people with one less appendage or can't see or can't hear or so forth. Rich, can we talk a little bit about, for the next little while here, about, the accessibility gap in fitness and how, when you walk into facilities and you kind of, again, you came back, you had to rebuild your life and you're like, oh, how am I going to figure this shit out? Can we have this conversation, Rich Ingram?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So where do we start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Where do we start, Rich?
When you talk about accessibility, do you mean, like I walk in and nothing is made for a one-arm guy?
Exactly correct. Yes.
So, one, I want to preface by saying, I was never really a forceful advocate for making changes or for requesting people to make changes for me. And the reason is because, one, okay, that proprietor is going to have to spend a lot of money to do that, because there is a guy in New Orleans, lawyer in a wheelchair, and he would literally go around and go into businesses, and if he couldn't get in there, he would sue them. Was not a customer or anything, and so he was really applauded for that, being an advocate. But at the same time, it's like, dude, you are hurting businesses. Like, they can't afford this, and whatever the feelings are. So for me, that's kind of my take on it. It was problem solving from day one. Now I'd go to the process of, like, so for example, I went to pre-ranger school in Fort Bragg, and that's where I learned a lot of things that, like, I was going to have to do if I wanted to do certain things, climb a rope, do pull-ups. And so, you talk about failure. One time I was trying to do monkey bars, my arm just fell off, and I hit the ground. And so I ran back to the beginning, and I tried to do like jumps, and finally the instructor was like, dude, just run. He like got tired of waiting on me. And I was like, these motherfuckers are gonna either carry me off unconscious or, I'm not quitting. And so there was a lot of things that I learned. It was all just from failure. It was like, hey man, fuck it, I'm gonna try it. Like doing reverse dumbbell flies, and dude, I don't know how many times like the dumbbell just went flying across the room. And so, the only thing that you can do is just try it and then see what works, and then make the changes. So for me, with one arm, I use a Smith machine for bench pressing if I'm doing that. Now I do stability stuff on the bench with dumbbells, just because it's good for you, right? Working different muscles. But for heavy weight, I do Smith machine. So now my eye is always out for, like, how can I make this fit my circumstance? Not, how can I get someone else to fit me into their, you know what I mean? And that's why I was saying earlier, I think I almost have an advantage over other people, because I literally by default, I have to problem solve every single day. And so, like to do pull-ups, I have a prosthetic, and I have a strap that's a figure 8 around my epicondyles and below my elbow.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it sucks, right? Like, the thing gets really sweaty and it can start slipping off. And you know what? You just go until you fall off the bar. And then you go to your process and try and make more changes. So it really is all about the individual and realizing that, hey, you have to make these changes yourself. Don't expect somebody else to circumvent their processes for you.
What an exceptional attitude. And I got to be frank with you.
Man.
I'm embarrassed to admit this, Jon and Marty. I didn't even think about this. Like, I didn't. I'm thinking, well, no, if I'm the businessman and I want you to have you in my facility, then I should make shit figure it out for you. When you're inviting me to think, that's fair, Keith, and I can respect your POV that, you want to make stuff accessible for me. But what you're actually saying is, I appreciate you, Keith, but I'm going to figure out a way to solve this myself. And I'm going to use my eyes, use my brain, and use my the challenges that I have and turn them into an opportunity to succeed. That is about attitude, Jon Andersen and Marty. Like this, that is nothing about attitude. That's just attitude. That's it. There's no skill there.
I mean, I so relate to this, brother, because, as a youngster, I was challenged to learn, so I was frankly, I was kind of a dumb son of a bitch. Reading was really difficult and I had a hard time digesting it. And so basically what I learned at a very young age was I had to solve these problems and figure out a way to get that information out of the book differently than everybody else.
Yeah.
And my whole being is the foundation is the fact that I've always found a way to do it my way because I wasn't efficient at doing it the way everybody else was. And that was part of my biggest blessing because thank God I'm not in line with the rest of the sheep in the world doing the shit. I live the life I choose because I've learned to do it my way. So what you said, oh my God, that hits home.
I see Rich smirking as you're talking because I think Rich is drinking that same fluid. And Marty, I see you smirking too. It's exceptional because Rich, you're just all about, no, I'm just doing it. I'm going to figure it out. Like if I can sum you up, I'm going to figure it out because you have kids and you're showing your kids how to figure it out.
It's so funny when I got home from Leadville, my kids started, the lawnmower guys are here. You might hear them in the background. It's so funny. My kids started running around the house and they're running and they're saying, I'll never quit. I'll never quit. And like 5 minutes later, they were like almost passed out on the couch. I was like, yes, yeah, that's what we're looking for here. But I learned something when I was in the military. If you have an idea, you don't take the idea to your boss. You take how that idea is in that subsequent decision to make that change is going to help everyone. So I'm going to take the idea. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and come up with a solution for it, but also I'm going to see how can I help everyone. So I think if we're in these, these fitness scenarios where, we're having an issue adapting to whatever it is. Okay, well, yeah, if it's only going to change you, well, that's not fair to that proprietor to make that change, to even ask him because he's going to be embarrassed. He's not going to know what to do or she. Because like, hey, let's face it, like you're an amputee and they want to help you out. They're proud that you're there, but at the same time, if it's not affecting everyone else, then like I do think it's like, hey, a Smith machine would help these people, right? Like elderly people, they're great with a Smith machine just because they may not have the same stability and stuff. So anyways, I do think that can come into play. If you have an idea, you need to come up with a solution and how it can benefit everyone. If it doesn't benefit anyone but you, dude, suck it the fuck up and just figure it out, So,
what I like about your attitude, Rich, is that you're actually inviting people to change their attitude.
Yes.
Instead of inviting the proprietor or the human to make change because you said make change. What you're saying is, well, maybe there's you're actually coming at it with a first principles approach. And for those that don't understand first principles approach, it's about going right back to the beginning of everything that we know and considering a brand new way to start and solve a problem. And you're saying, well, no, I'm not going to take the approach of penalizing John for his gym not being accessible. You're saying, no, I'm going to invite a change to my attitude so that it can work for me, which actually makes it inviting for every single human being on the planet.
Yes. And it all comes back to own your situation.
Yes.
It's that simple. We have to adapt and instead of just complaining to someone else. And it's not just in the gym, it's everything, dude. Instead of just complaining to somebody else about a problem you have, own your situation.
Yes.
Brother, I love the only thing you see is opportunities. You don't see the problem. You just see the opportunities. And that right there, I mean, if people could recognize that, holy shit, yes, I just got kicked in the nuts. I'm on my hands and knees, but I'm down here because I'm gaining a perspective on my hands and knees. I wasn't going to get on my feet before somebody kicked me in the nuts. And if people could just gather that and work with that, I mean, you're living proof. I mean, it's amazing, bro. I love hearing you speak. And if people could adapt this, the world is going to change real quick.
Very true, Jon Adams. I'm Jon Andersen. We got a question from Fit Presenter here. We got a question for Rich. How do you tailor your message for people whose circumstances are not so extreme? Rich Ingram.
So, first off, I start off by saying it was a little bit easier for me because I did lose my arm. I had nowhere to go, right? I only had, I could either go down and be a homeless veteran asking for your money on a street corner, or I could rise up and try and make a move. So for me, I was in a vulnerable position. So it was a little bit easier for me. So the way that I tailor it is you have to start by habits. And that's difficult. For me, my habits were a little bit easier to make because I only have one way to go. I was reinventing myself, but for everyone else, it has to start small with habits. And once you start doing all those things, then you can start adjusting to the world around you.
Marty, you looking at John's face over there? Tina, looking at John's face. He's muted because I saw the magic. So Rich is new to this. Rich, you mentioned the word that it makes John really horny. It's another H word. It's called habits. You said habits. I saw John start squirming. And then I saw you say it again. And I saw John start just getting his chest was going out. So lean into habits, Rich Ingram, for John, because you're going to make John really happy. Talk about habits and how they've formed your success in life, just for John.
Yeah. And look, I want to say, like, I'm no saint of habits. I'm not, trying to, I'm not an expert in habits, but one thing is. I do believe. Well, hey, look, what I've found is, okay, what can I do to whatever I want to do? So here's my end state. How do I get there? So for running, it's the easiest example, right? Like, you just have to run. Okay, how do I become a better runner? Well, I'm going to run in the mornings, the first part of the day. So, I have the most energy. My day isn't wrecked or whatever happens. And so from there, okay, for me, start with your morning routine. That is like the best. And hey,
come on,
what's so funny now, and is that when I hit the first thing I do, wake up, I hit the on button on the coffee machine, and just as soon as like the machine goes, there's a trigger in my mind to sit down and meditate. Isn't that crazy?
I'm not laughing at you, Rich. I'm Marty, and I can just hear Jon Andersen.
You're talking my language, baby. You're talking my language. Yeah. I mean, all I do is preach about all these little things that you do. Our subconscious behavior controls 80+% of our lives, and habits is what controls our subconscious. So you are just talking my language, baby.
Hey, Marty, the next time Rich presses the coffee machine button out there in where Rich lives, you can hear Jon Andersen's sound. Rich has started the coffee machine.
They're talking smack. You know you're on the right track. Oh, man. That's crazy.
We got another question from the audience here, Rich, for you. Yoel Adams at Amos, and Yoel, thanks for joining the show. You're a regular listener. I appreciate you. How do you go about making the connections that has helped you move past your limitations? Kind of a general question. We're talking about that, but how do you do that? How do you go moving the connections that have helped you move? You don't look at limitations, is what I'm getting from you, Rich. Limitation to you is an opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, and an opportunity in the sense of like I think I'm addicted to the challenge, right? And so whenever there is a limitation, it's like, all right, I fucking got this. Let's do this. Let's figure this thing out. And so, that's what I did when I worked for a Fortune 500 company. That was the base of my job, to go in and figure things out and come up with plans to implement and everything. So I was a perfect fit for it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm understanding the question that correctly about the connections, but any limitations, just like what John was saying earlier, it's all about our perception.
Yes.
Of how they limit us. And look, man, I'm not saying like anything is possible. Like, no, I can't bench press my car, right? But in the realm of things, like, there is a way to get everything done.
I was just going to say, you strike me as somebody, though, Rich, that would figure out how to bench press a car. Like, I'm just being frank with you. You strike me as somebody who's like, I could probably figure that out. I might fail at it, but you strike me as somebody who today would say, I'm going to go figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, so there was a funny story. So I had this tree in my front yard, and I think it was dying or something. I don't know, but I was like, okay, it has to come down, and because my neighbors were complaining because like these things, and look, this is not like a huge 16-inch or 16-foot diameter oak tree, but so I just went and bought a fucking chainsaw, and and I'm like, okay. And I'm out there. My mother-in-law is at the house. She's like, oh my God. I'm like freaking out. My neighbor comes over. He's like, Rich, you got to take this tree down by yourself. And I was like, yeah, I got it. And I fucking did, like,
that's when you look at your neighbor and say, go home.
Yeah. And, man, I'm sure that everybody was like at their windows because our neighborhood back there, it was like the burbs, with Tom Hanks. I'm sure they're all in their recliners and their popcorn, like watching this one-armed guy, like, what the fuck is he doing now? But yeah, and I didn't know what I was doing, and maybe I could have failed, but I just, again, that's, who cares? At the end of the day, like, okay.
So you clearly you're going to get the job done, but you've got the mindset. Okay, that chainsaw lops off a pinky on my other hand. Well, guess what? I just got blessed again.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, John. Like that didn't even hit my risk assessment. But it was funny because look, these things are never pretty, right? Like, so I cut this thing down. Well, then I'm like, okay, I got this fucking stump. What do I do? So, like I rigged this thing up to the back of my truck to the tow hitch, and I almost tear up my whole yard. And I'm driving down the road because like there about 10 blocks down there's an interstate bridge, and so I was just gonna throw the stump and the tree under there. There's just like, it would have been pretty funny to see for sure. But.
That's awesome. We got a good comment here from go ahead, Johnny.
I was just saying, I love you're just shaking up suburbia. They don't know what to do with you. I love it.
What the fuck is that?
Oh man, Jack Dugan, Rich is a beast. He doesn't allow life to dictate him how successful he'll be. He makes it happen. So inspiring. If there's anything we all know here on the show here this morning is that if you're tuning in to Mornings in the Lab right now, gentlemen, you got no excuses. There's just actually no excuses. If there's a problem in front of you today at work or in your life, it's not a problem. It's just literally an opportunity to solve, because the guy on the show today is solving problems every single day.
Go get a chainsaw.
Yeah, exactly, including the chainsaw. Listen, why don't we bring in producer Flynn here on the stage? Christina, rock and roll. How are you?
Rock and rolling, as you know.
Awesome. So listen, I thought at this time in the show we would do our creative spotlight. We're running a little bit behind here. I thought we'd do the creative spotlight. We would bring in somebody, celebrate somebody. Rich, every single day on the show, we'd like to take somebody up on LinkedIn, doing awesome work and take a big light. And what we really enjoy here is celebrating others. We like helping people achieve their big goals. We like helping people, achieve greatness and be accountable. John likes teaching habits and so forth. Marty gets people moving physically. But what we really like to do is just celebrate humans and all the exceptional work that we're doing. So today, guys, I got a recovering child actor, Johnny, Marty. Recovering child actor, turned speaker, coach, author. He helps entrepreneurs communicate their ideas without panicking, transforms their pitches and presentations. He's helped over 4,500 people, Rich Ingram, raise $300 million, doing that by improving their public speaking and storytelling skills. So I'm going to pause and I'm going to welcome our person to today's Creator Spotlight, Mornings in the Lab. CMartyFit, drum roll, please. It is going to be Will Greenblatt. Will is from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. He helps communicate your ideas without panicking, a recovering child actor. And Will helps founders and Fortune 500 companies transform their pitches. As you see, he's a former film and TV actor, theater school grad, ex-teacher, public speaking coach, paid speaker. He does a lot of great things here. He's covering an essential topic for entrepreneurs. His content and advice is actionable and practical. He's also entertaining and he's real. Will takes the unique skills that he has from his various unique experiences and is sharing what he knows to help other people. I got to tell you, whether you're pitching to investors, selling to prospects, meeting partners, hiring talent, managing your team, Will can help you. You check out his LinkedIn profile. He's got some great stuff. He's got a profile optimized, as you can see here. He joins us from Toronto, but most importantly, if you're looking to get it to the next level, Will Greenblatt can help you. He is he's a two-time founder. Like I said, he's a top LinkedIn voice. He's a mentor to top startups, accelerators like Techstars and F1. So Christina, give me some juice on Will Greenblatt and why we are nominating him for today's Mornings in the Lab Creator Spotlight.
Well, here's what I love about Will, and something that we can all take with us, is that he is taking something unique to him, his skill as a child actor. He grew up around presenting. He grew up around using his voice. He's taking that skill and now he's applying it and using that experience that he has to help other people with it. There's a very clear and direct line from why he, through his unique skills and experiences, is now in a position and qualified to be supporting people with those skills. And I think that's something that we can all do. And Will does it really well. His content is really accessible and easy to understand. And it's things that you can watch and then immediately apply to your business that day. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
Awesome. Will Greenblatt, we are here to celebrate you, my friend. Exceptional work you're doing out there on the platform. Keep it up. And hey, Will, you're invited to join us Mornings in the Lab. Most importantly, we want to have you in to nominate the next person up for the Creator Spotlight, which we drop typically around the 55-minute mark of the show. Today, we're running a few minutes behind because of exceptional conversation this morning with Rich Ingram. So, Will, we're here to celebrate you, my friend. Congratulations. Hey, I got an exceptional comment here, and guys, we're doing our work here. Jack Duggan, some chump jumps in and says, first of all, Jack's like, preach, I love this show. Jack, we love you. But then Jack jumps in with this, Christina, and we're doing our job. Jack says, my first time tuning into this show. This is so great. In a world full of so much toxicity, it's so easy to fall into a pit of poor habits. This is such a great tool. I will be tuning in from this now on. And Jack, we appreciate you. Subscribe, like, comment on the channel. What we do here is we get out of bed. We start this show at 8 o'clock Eastern time for one purpose only, to help you guys get your ass out of bed, help you achieve your big audacious goals, and help you guys stack positive habits and create opportunities for excellence. We're hanging out with Rich Ingram here this morning. Fun conversation. Rich, I got to tell you, man, and Christina, when we were setting the show up, we were talking about accessibility, and I admitted this. I did not think we were going to go down this path of, well, yeah, you got to change the gym. No, you got to make the door wider. Oh no, you got to make a bench for me. Rich is like, no, I'm going to go figure it out. I'm going to figure it out. And then when I figure it out, it's going to make it, I'm going to offer that up to everybody else. Like, what an exceptional attitude shift. Hey, Christina Flynn?
I think that's the beauty of Rich's message. It's one about when you make things more accessible and inclusive for one person, there tends to be beneficiaries on the other end of things. Yeah. What Rich is saying, I'm not asking you as one person to make accommodations for me, but what I'm going to show you through my experience is that this accommodation isn't going to just help folks like me. It's going to help other people. The example being cutting out the curb, the side of the curb, so that people with wheelchairs can move up the curb more easily. Well, that also helps mothers or fathers with strollers. That also helps people with different mobility issues in raising their legs. Like that, there's a direct benefit and correlation to a number of different people versus just the individual in the wheelchair.
Yeah, that's and just looking at life through opportunity. Rich, how many kids? You have 2 kids, eh, Rich? I
have 3.
Yeah,
6, 4, and 2.
Oh, good times. Good times. Good times. And they're learning every single day from you.
I hope they're learning good things. But yeah, their minds are like sponges. So
yeah. Rich, I want, I wasn't going to go here, but I'm going to bring it up. On the show this week, we've been really leaning into men's insecurities and how we feel and just, these conversations are not being had that we're having here in the lab. And you admitted to us, half an hour ago, and you told me on our previous conversation about the relationship you had with your dad. You're now a dad. You got 3 kids. How do you take your experiences there? How do you take your experiences when you come back from Iraq? How do you take your experience when your dad was like, Rich, if you want to come home, you got to get your shit together. Here's the boundaries I'm putting in place for you. How did you take all of that to become the father you are today, Rich?
So I want to start off saying I'm no perfect father. I raised my voice probably when I shouldn't, and again, it goes back to the mantra: is hey man, we just got to move on to the next thing when we don't do things what we believe to be the right way. But my father did a lot of things well, and so those are the things that I try to remember. But then also, I try and incorporate some of my own things. It's just like taking my kid to jujitsu. I mean, this is the first group instruction that he's ever had. And so the bottom line is I just want it to be the funnest experience for him. Not necessarily, hey, fall in line. Hey, bow before you get on the mat. So we took one of his stuffed animals in there, and it was like his safety net, right? It was his dragon. And so we agreed that he would put it on the bench and the dragon would learn the move so he could teach it so they could be partners later. And so those are the kind of things that my dad didn't do with me. And so it goes back to, look, one of the best leaders that I ever had in the military was a staff sergeant. One of the worst leaders I ever had was a lieutenant colonel who is now retiring as a 3-star general. And and so that staff sergeant, he got out as I think in the E7. Completely different spectrums on the scale. But I learned a lot from my battalion commander at the time, right? And I learned, what good things there were and what things that I would improve on. And I think putting those things together and coming up with my own process, I think, that just puts me in a better position. So I think it's just a constant state of learning, really. But I'll tell you, you talk about insecurities, and I've been on searcher lane since after my 4th deployment. And so, Zoloft for PTSD. And so that was, December 2012, 100 milligrams a day. But he's zapped me and I'm over it. I don't want to take this little pill. I think that it's, it's just, and so, I just got off of it and I am going through a whirlwind of emotions. You talk about depression, anxiety, and the one thing that I always try and remember is that, like, this too shall pass. And so I keep driving forward with it. And the reason why I bring that up is because there's probably a lot of other people out there that are going through similar things that you will never see. Absolutely. Right. And so again, the pains and gains are equitable and it's all part of the process. Nobody's alone, and just keep moving forward, dude. And we'll get there.
Rich, thanks for sharing that. That's a very courageous, vulnerable thing to share with us and share with Business Athlete Nation. And you're right, my friend. You give me goosebumps, Johnny. I'm
so can I jump in real quick?
Please do, Johnny.
So you basically got yourself off this med, and so talk to the audience a little bit about the saying, which I'm sure has got to play into you doing what you do, getting off the med. Is you train the body to tame the mind.
That's right. And I think the one thing, so when I went out to Colorado a couple of weeks before the race to acclimatize and everything else, but I went out there with 5 of these pills where you're supposed to have 1 a day. And I was like, this is going to be my time. And I looked at it as I'm going to run so much that I don't have the opportunity to let, this anxiety hit me. And that's why this coming back home has been the roughest time for me, because I'm not running as much. I'm in a recovery period. So next week I'll start to, get back into it and up it. But 100%, I run and do these things, 1, to be a good role model, 2, for emotional stability. And 3, golly, there are so many lessons that you learn while you're, involved in fitness. And that just trickles into everything that you do. So 100% correct.
Rich, if I could just jump in.
Please, Christina. Yes.
Everybody's just got to hear that. Anybody that's taking meds, just hear what he just said. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Tina.
the voice in me who I've been on meds a long time in my life, and I just want to caution as well. Rich didn't just go ahead and do this. This was a planned activity that has taken time. We don't want anyone in the audience just going and saying, I'm going to cut my meds. Like, do that with the support of your doctor, but know that like it can be done. And this is the way to show that you can do it.
100% was absolutely planned, and I was talking to my doctor, so yeah, I don't want to create any liability for any of us there. But when you do that, I do think, you know, every morning I'll wake up, like, you know, you have the brain fog, you have everything else, but you go run for 2 hours, dude, you just feel like amazing, you know, and it's like, oh, this is what it feels like. But you know, I was put on this medicine because I was aggressive. I'm a human, right? Like. And so, but now I think I've matured more, and I want that aggression. I want it, right? Because I think you can channel it in certain ways. Like we have these emotions, and I think it was Chad Wright, you know, former U.S. Navy SEAL. He said something that has resonated with me, you know, for however long since he said it. But the bottom line is, our emotions are wonderful things, but they're horrible leaders. And so, you know, we need to note them, but we don't let them control us. So they start to lose their power over us. And I think that physical activity is one of the main ways that you can overcome them, and they lose their power over you.
Yeah.
Rich,
so good. So good.
Rich, what gave you the courage, or not so much the courage, but what went off in your head one day, which was like, I'm gonna go talk to my doc about this. I need to make some changes. Like, what was there a moment? Was there a series of moments? Was there just like a time? Sometimes we get to a stage in our life where like it's just enough. Like, what brought this on for yourself to say, I'm done with this?
One, I don't want to be tied to anything, right? It's like everywhere I go, I got to take this little bottle of pills. But then also, I don't know, I was getting to be emotionless. You know, I mean, literally these SSRIs are, I mean, they're rechanneling how the chemicals in our brains work. And like, that's not normal. That's not accurate. And I'm not saying that they don't serve a purpose. I just don't, I believe in what I'm saying is physicians, and I know it's a completely different topic. As soon as, when I was in the military, you know, I was sent to anger management, and then they were like, hey, I want you to go see this doctor for PTSD, blah, blah. And the first thing he said was, hey, first thing we're going to do is we're going to put you on Zoloft. That was the first thing. And so to me, you know, now it's, I want my emotions. I think I'm in a better position to control my emotions now.
Yes.
And so, you know, that I want them. I want that aggression to drive me in the things that I do. And look, if it doesn't work, then hey, maybe I am a candidate to get back on it. But that's what started it. I was emotionless, and in the happy moments in my life, I felt that, you know, I wasn't behaving in the manner that you know, my children, my family deserve.
I like this, Rich, because what you're saying is that, you know, you have awareness about it, you know it triggers it, and you're like, okay, I want to have my emotions back. I'm going to create my awareness about it. I'm at a different stage in my life. I'm older. I got some kids, perhaps more mature, laugh. So I'm going to figure this out and embrace the emotions that come to me. That's back to attitude again, Rich. It's like back to this. No, it's about me. It's about my attitude and what I want to choose. Yoel Adams comes in with some continued comments. Yes, learn to put the aggression and the emotion into something, not just trying to bottle them up. Do something constructive is what I was always told. And then Yoel comes back with, yeah, the medications are a support system. Sometimes the only support system that a person can use. I will say, though, Rich, that, you know, rightly or wrongly, what I heard you say was, it is unfortunate, isn't it, that the first thing that the doctors just obviously do is just say, hey, here's meds.
Absolutely.
Right? It's like instant. It's like, okay, here you go. Here's your Zoloft, Rich. Go see, you know, here's your script. I'll see you later. Bye.
Yeah. Before I had even started the medical board process, right? Before I had even started getting evaluated for PTSD, it's, hey, you're sitting here for aggression. Let's put you on this. Not, hey, you know, let's look at whatever other avenues there are. So that, you know, whether a right call or a wrong call, I'm not really advocating that.
100%. No, I get you. I'm not trying to hear cause judgment either. I'm just throwing the observation out because it's listen, we talk about it often, right? We go sit down with a doctor and it's just quickly let's just prescribe something, and that's a whole nother show for a different discussion. UL jumps in again with lifestyle, environment, community. All these can also be support systems. So listen, Business Athlete Nation, we're coming up to the bottom of our second hour, 9:30 Eastern time. I can see Andersen squirming there. We're working our way towards wrapping the show up here. We are getting to the bottom of our conversation with Rich Ingram. So we're going to go around the table and wrap it up. So, Christina, I want to start with you. What did you take with our chat with Rich today? Where do we got to have Rich back here. But Christina, what did you take from our conversation with Rich Ingram today?
There's just no excuses. Like, life is shitty sometimes. Suffering is a guaranteed of the human existence, and how you manage those moments when they come, not if they come, is really what's going to determine the outcomes of your life. And I think Rich is a perfect example of that. He was dealt a really shitty hand in a lot of ways, and he turned it into something incredibly positive, and it's changed his mindset, and mindset is everything.
So, we like to have fun here. Was that every pun intended there when you said he was dealt a shitty hand?
No.
Sorry.
You're giving me way too much credit for that.
Listen, Rich did me twice. Rich knows me. He's like, Bilous is just making some shitty humor there. So he's
I do want to ask one thing. When I was introduced, the sound that Marty played,
yes,
bomb, was that on purpose?
No, I think.
Did anybody get that? Oh, yeah, it took a minute.
Yeah, I think it was more like he's the bomb, like a great guest, not really realizing that was the catalyst to your wonderful existence.
Sorry, man.
No,
I put it in my show notes, Rich. I put it in my show notes. That was one of the uglies of the show.
No,
that was good though. That was good.
It was awesome.
Oh my goodness. Believe me, I caught it too, and I was thinking, oh, okay, well, this is the kind of show we have here.
I thought you wanted a different sound, so I tried to switch it up.
It's all fun, man. Rich is listen, I think Rich is a pretty solid human being here, and maybe if he wasn't on I get a crack at joke here, Rich. If you were back on your meds, you'd have no emotion about it. So he's like, right?
That's right, man. That's right.
Johnny Andersen, you're squirming. Close off some comments before we say goodbye to Rich.
Well, you know me, I like to simplify things. And I got to say, for all you guys listening to Rich, if you can't see this now, I don't know what's going to help you see it, because everything that happens to you is good.
Yeah, that's a great, what else is there to say?
Life happens. One more little bit. Sorry. Life happens for us, not to us.
Yeah. CMartyFit, Christopher Martin. What do you think of today's show, pal? What do you think of Rich Ingram today?
Hell of a story, Rich. Very motivating, very inspiring. And it's just good to get, that reassurance that, just like Johnny said, everything happens for you. It doesn't happen to you.
Yes.
So you can only get better from it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes.
Rich, I am full of gratitude this morning. I was excited coming into the show. I was on your ass for the last couple of weeks saying, come on my show. And we were trying to sort shit out. And dude, I want to overextend the olive branch to you to say, hey man, you come back anytime. I hope you've had as much fun. I hope you've had as much fun here as we've had with you.
You guys are awesome. Absolutely.
So you come back, you are without a doubt a true business athlete. I love what you've taught me today. Right. And I try to take something from every single show. And man, you've given me some things to think about. I know you've given John things to think about, Christina and Marty and our whole audience. And just this whole, like I said, I was coming into this with this, okay, well, how do we get people to change their perspective on things? And you're like, no, actually, I'm going to change the perspective on things and I'm going to solve the problem. I just did not come to this that way at all, Rich. Good. Like you changed my perspective on it, because I was coming in looking out the front door and you said to me, no, Keith, look out the back door. I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about the back door.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you all comes in with the closing words there. Much respect. Very insightful. Thank you for sharing your story. This was awesome. So Business Athlete Nation, you know where to find us, 8 o'clock Eastern time, Monday to Friday, right here on YouTube, right here on LinkedIn, right here on X. We create this show to help you guys get your ass going, and help achieve those big, audacious goals. All right, we're going to get out of here. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Matt Freed is joining us. What's up, Matt? We're going to talk fitness. We're going to talk a bunch of great stuff. And Cam, you know I've been patient with you, Cam. You know our rules. We know our guardrails. I welcome you back tomorrow. You keep up that, we're not welcoming you back. All right, guys, we'll see you guys tomorrow.